street beat. Boom. You know, that percussive cadence that marching bands and drum and bugle corps do between songs and parades. Always anchored with a lower bass on 1 and 3. It would lift you and plant you and move you forward, but always with that syncopated riff from the snares. I can so remember. I am 5 or 6 years old, and I love the sound of drums. Love watching them in parades. But I didn't need no parade. I could be sitting on my porch. Be walking to school. And it didn't matter what time of year it was, but the closer it got to May, the closer it got to the second Sunday in May, them drums got louder and louder, and I'd start marching. I'd be marching around the yard at the house at 1812 Taylor Avenue. That's what my older sister Wanda used to always call it. During the 60s, my family moved around a lot, depending on the state of my parents' marriage, whether my mother was pregnant or not, or whether they were separated, or what run my father had on the railroad that month. Wanda, being the oldest of eventually 5 kids, had participated in many of those moves and had quickly learned to memorize her addresses. It came in handy when you were lost in a new neighborhood. Even now when we talk about that time when we were kids, Wanda always says, no, she recites, the house at 1812 Taylor Avenue. My first memories of St. Louis are from that house. Upstairs was Mama Bell, Aunt Callie, and Uncle Ernest. Now, lots of different family members moved in and out of the house. Quite frankly, the actual living arrangements and who was a little fuzzy to me. I mean, there were family aunts, and then there were church aunts and church sisters, and the occasional uncle this, that, or the other. It was all quite confusing. So I have my older sister Wanda to thank for validating or correcting my memories of that time. The rest of this stuff I have just made up. But the backyard on Taylor, I remember very well. The back porch, the long, narrow yard that went to our back fence. Our back fence was right at a spot where 2 alleys met, and we were right at the top of a T. And from our porch, you could look straight down one of the alleys to Newstead Boulevard. I remember the alley clearest of all. I remember it as a red paved road to a parade. Mama Bell, you better stay right in the middle of this alley. There's some big old dogs down by Mr. Saunders' yard and behind the filling station, and one of them jumped the fence and killed Silly. Boy, stop that ripping and running. You're gonna scuff them shoes. There ain't no dog killed Silly. You tell him what happened to that child, but that filling station mud sure didn't get him. Mama Bell has a shelf booty. Shelf booty, that's right. That's what Junior used to always call it. It was like her butt stuck out so far, you could place things on it, books, plates, radio. And Mama Bell was big. To me, a child of 7, she just seemed like this massive mound of house coat mostly. I mean, not just round, she was tall, but she was all bent over, what with the shelf booty and all. And she was always carrying this big old bag, but I don't know what was in it. It smelled like old people and liniment. It always looked like it hurt for her to walk. Mama Bell seemed to carry a lot of hurt. Whenever my mama would need something from Mama Bell upstairs, she always sent me. Wandin Jr. said it was because I was the only child that Ruth had that Mama Bell liked, or at least tolerated. They said it was because of the polio. My mama said it was because I have a sweet face. I think it was because I wasn't scared of her. You see, Mama Bell was not a hugger. She wasn't the kind to grab you up like Aunt Callie. Come here, baby boy, and give me some sugar. Yeah. Mama Bell would sit in her chair all mound-like in her house coat, wrinkled dark face, stringy gray-white hair. Mama Bell did snuff, just a pinch between the teeth and gum. And there was always a hint of it at the side of her mouth. Yeah, there was this old coffee can always at the side of that big overstuffed chair she sat in. In the middle of a conversation, Mama Bell would just kind of lean over and spit into the can. It put most people off. Wanda and Junior couldn't look at her. Afraid she would spit on them, I guess. Most grown folks didn't look directly at her either. I expect they didn't know quite where to look. I mean, not much was easy on the eye, what with the shelf booty, the spit, stringy hair and all. I used to look directly in her eyes, half afraid to look anywhere else, but seeing something there. Another part of Mama Bell. It was like she was always talking to me twice. Now, once with that voice and loud with that voice, but there was this other thing going on with her eyes when she talked to me. It's like we had a secret. Mama Bell, that's what Junior said. And he said the men's down at the pool hall said they found Silly all mangled up. Part of them eat away. They think he went right up to that bulldog up the way, opened the gate to go pet him, and boy, stop that foolishness. Now that boy Silly, he wasn't right, but he wasn't stupid. And then my mama, who's pushing my little brother Bobby in the stroller, says, well, actually, Mama Bell, Silly was a little stupid. I mean, no fault of his own. He born that way. Well, But Wayne, Silly did not get eaten by that dog. Last summer, you say the monkey boy from the circus got him. Now it's that old bulldog. But Mama Junior said, and boy, will you stop quoting your brother Junior, because he ain't got much more going on than Silly. And with this, everybody's laughing. Everybody except me. I mean, I'm looking out for everybody. And it was really strange being in the alley with my mama and Mama Bell. The alley is where we hung out all day. We being my big brother, his friends, and me, as much as they would allow. These bold brick paths with lots of garbage cans, wire fences, lots of poles, backs of restaurants, dented cans with all kind of stuff in them. Just this tunnel of intrigue and adventure for a 7-year-old, but not at all a place for my mama and Mama Bell in a dress. But it was the most direct route from our house on Taylor to Newstead Boulevard, where the parade was. So every year we would walk down that alley carrying lawn chairs and baskets of chicken and potato salad and deviled eggs, dressed in Sunday go-to-meeting clothes to go watch the Annie Malone May Day parade. And it was not possible that I could be more excited. But the task at hand was to guide my family down this gauntlet of broken glass, unleashed dogs, and who knows who might have escaped from a nearby circus. You see, I believed my brother. I believed everything Junior told me. I believed that there was a monkey boy and that snare drummers and marching bands had water in their drums and that rabid dogs could drag off folks. These were the principal driving forces in my life at the age of 7. Just the very possibility of these horrors, their manifestations. Oh, what carnage I could think of in my little mind. No wonder I love parades, especially the May Day parade. Most of what I know about the parade, I learned from Mama Bell. I think she was just as excited every year as I was. She would always tell us about the time she rode down Newstead Boulevard in an open air Buick, raising a vote for Adlai Stevenson sign over her head. The May Day parade is over 100 years old. It was originally set up to benefit the Annie Malone Children's Orphanage, whose benefactor, Annie Malone, was one of America's first Black millionaires. She made her fortune selling hair products for Negroes, and then she bought that orphanage over on the north side of St. Louis. Mama Bell said at first they used it as a home for retired and destitute Black soldiers from the Civil War. Lord have mercy. A few of them old fellas, they marched in that parade up to the 20s. They done died off. Ain't nothing but a memory now. Lord have mercy. In the 20s, this parade was one of the biggest things in the country for colors. And them white folks, they just left us alone. See, they didn't want none of them riots they was having up there in Chicago. And old August Bush, he didn't want no trouble at the brewery. Seemed like, most times them rednecks, they don't want to let you have nothing. Take the taste right out your mouth if they see you eating. But they let us have our parade. And colored folks like to show out every chance they get. It seemed everybody had a story about the May Day parade. And there was this amazing rivalry between the corps and the bands. And every year, the performances became more and more outrageous. During the 60s, Sumner High School was the dominant band. They wore these maroon and white full-length coat band uniforms, with a little slanted shape, little tiny plume on the top. And they would always come down the street with this kind of high prance march with a little left-wing swagger to it. And every year, they would play Peter Gunn. Boom, boom, bing, boom, 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 boom. Now, let me tell you, it was not unusual, for folks on the sidewalk. If something got good to them, they would go right on out in the street and start dancing. I mean, it was amazing, this row of tubas. Boom, boom, bing, boom, 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 bing, boom, boom, with that little left-wing swagger going on. People all out of the street and everybody in step. And it literally rocked Newstead Boulevard, where these 3- and 4-story red brick apartment buildings would just amplify the sound. They were amazing. Now, my favorites were the drum and bugle corps. Woo! I mean, they were like professional marching bands. They always had the best drum lines. And the look of those silver bugles in the brass line, woo! And just the sound of that brass. No wimpy flutes or clarinets here. No. These are powerful heralding trumpets, able to create a wall of sound that can cut right through you. Brass up the ass. I like the drum corps. Now, my brother Junior marched in our church corps, the Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church Majestics. He was a tenor drummer. But my favorite corps, my very favorite corps, was the Tom Powell American Legion Post 77 Spirit of St. Louis. Woo! I mean, they look like machines as they come down the street. All of them look the same height. These intense black faces half hidden under the straps of their shakos. And they would sway back and forth when they marched. And they had a version of St. Louis blues that W.C. Handy would be proud of. Ba-dee-da-doo-da, ba-do-do-dee-da-da-ya-ta-ta-ra-ta-ta-ra-ki-ti-ka-ki-ti-ka. I mean, I can so clearly see other families walking down the alley. No, they are marching down the alley. Da-da-da-dee-da, ba-do-do-dee-da-da-ya-ta-ta-ra-ta-ta-ra-ki-ti-ka-ki-ti-ka. And I can already start to smell the barbecue. I can almost taste the sweet syrup of grape snow cones. And I'm sure I can hear ba-do-da-do-da, be-ya-ba-da-do-da. Sure, I can hear the faint echo of drum beats bouncing off of tenement walls. 120 beats per measure. And Mama Bell and them were not in step. Mama, let me push Bobby. Y'all moving too slow, and we need to get there. We gonna miss Junior, and you ain't gonna get that spot you like, and you know Mama Bell don't like to be out in the sun, huh, Mama Bell? Boy, you better hush and slow your nappy head down. I ain't about to start running down this alley. But Mama, we gonna miss Junior. And then Mama Bell, you know, she's walking like she's in the world of hurt. Woo! Lord Jesus. Woo! Ruth, that nappy-head boy might be right. I ain't about to spend this afternoon out in the sun. Now you let Wanda and Wayne go ahead and get us a spot. Go on now, get in front of Gertrude. And boy, bring that baby back here. You allow her to turn that stroke over. How quickly I had forgotten my duty to guide my family down this treacherous path. Wanda and I, we start weaving through the families in the alley, you know. Every time we would get in front of a group of folks, I would say, we gonna be in front of him, and we gonna be in front of him, and we gonna, boy, will you shut up? Finally, we pushed through one more family, and we are out on Newstead Boulevard. Boys riding bicycles, selling snow cones, little kids sitting on curbs, bigger boys in trees and on billboards, chairs on the sidewalk, parties on apartment balconies, and the smells, barbecue chicken and Tanqueray. The street was alive, right? And I'm looking both ways, you know, but the parade had not come. So we made our way on down to Aunt Gertrude's hair salon. And Aunt Gertrude and some of her girls are already out there. All of them drinking beers and wearing sunglasses and lounging on beach chairs. They all have on hot pants. Yeah, hot pants. Blues and greens with these matching tied-off t-shirts that read Gertrude's hair across the front. Ooh, wait. Here come Miss Wanda and Mr. Wayne. Where your mama? Mama Bell with y'all. Girl, we better finish these buds before Power and Glory get here. Oh, baby, we just kidding. We just kidding. We got room for all of y'all. I got some Kool-Aid in the thermos. And I got some t-shirts for y'all too. There are families everywhere. The street is filling up fast. And I'm simultaneously looking for my mother, looking for the start of the parade, when boom, a cannon. And the entire street seems to scream at once. You see, miles away, At the Sears and Roebuck's parking lot, a cannon is fired to start the parade. Now the noise is fairly distant, but the energy on the street, I mean, you can taste it. The talking's louder, the laughter's sharper. It seems like everybody's listening to the same radio station, KATZ, the soul of St. Louis. And every once in a while, a song would come on, and Aunt Gertrude and some of her girls would get up and start dancing. Bong, bong, bing, 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 bong, bong, bing, 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 which was quite entertaining for the guys on the street, but did not go over well once my mama and Mama Bell got there. Gert, y'all sit your narrow butts down. Ain't nobody here to see y'all. Mama Bell, we just advertising. And then Aunt Callie, who always seemed to be talking under her breath, said under her breath, "Them clothes y'all wearing is a shame before Christ." What you say, Callie? You want some more ice? Always over there mumbling and signifying about folks. You need to get your own house in order. And Callie, where is your husband? That's a good question. I mean, where was Uncle Ernest? Now, according to Junior, one day Aunt Callie threw Uncle Ernest off the porch for forgetting to put the top back on the sugar bowl. It was the porch on the second floor. Junior, he was sitting on the first floor when Uncle Ernest fell out of the sky into the bushes next to the stairs. Now Uncle Ernest was a very thin man with these sagging jowls that were perpetually covered in this gray, unkempt beard. His clothes never seemed to fit him. His suit jacket would cover his knuckles, and his tie was more tied around his shirt than around his neck. It was as if his clothes had once fit him, as if he had once been a bigger man. But now, being a smaller man, years of living with Aunt Callie, I assume, but being a smaller man, the bushes were able to break his fall. Junior said, Uncle Ernest, he pulls himself out of the bushes and he looks up and he says, "Woman, you can't keep putting me out. Gonna mess up once too often. I ain't coming back." And then Junior said, Uncle Ernest walked out of the yard and down the alley. And we ain't seen him since. That's what Junior said. "Gert, I done told you that ain't none of your business. Mama Bell, I'm tired of Callie and her righteousness. She ain't got no more of a lock on heaven than I do. Gert, I done told you." Mama Bell, I see them. I see the Masons. The Masons were always at the front of the parade. They would be wearing these dark suits, with a ribbon across the chest. And then the business owners would come by in the convertibles. And then the funeral homes would advertise. There would be hers after hers after hers. And then the deacons from all of the churches. Deacons would be walking down the street. They would get out of the parade to go get a rib or a hug. The Majestics were one of the first drum corps in the parade. And I remember when juniors came marching by, we're all calling out his name. "Hey, Junior! Hey, Junior!" And my mom, she's just beaming. "There you go. Go on now. Y'all look good." And the corps is playing Wagon Wheels. And people are dancing and pretending to march. And Junior, he looks our way for just 1 second. He looks so tall, with the plume and all. And it looked like he had perfect sticking on the drums with the other drummers. At that moment, we were all so proud. Usually, as best I can remember, Junior was always getting into trouble. I mean, he was always getting whoopings, and my mama was always mad with him. When she remarried years later, my stepfather was always mad with him. And Junior would get so angry. He and my stepfather, they would fight constantly, and he kept getting put out of the house until it seemed like he just ran away to the Air Force, to Vietnam. He said it was to get ahead of the draft and do easy time. He ended up flying in helicopters and picking up the wounded and the dead in the middle of firefights and rice paddies. And he came home even more angry, consumed by it. I mean, for years, bowled by the anger as if it were a weight on his shoulders. But for me, it is that moment on that Sunday morning, watching my brother come down this street with his drum, looking so tall and strong. It is that moment that I most clearly see my brother, even today. And it was on that Sunday that I got my first Mayday Parade story. You see, this was the year that Beaumont High School and not Sumner High School turned out the Mayday Parade, and I was there. You see, Sumner had already come down the street. Oh yeah, they'd done their thing. Folks are still fanning themselves in the heat from all the exertion, of Peter Gunn. Well, I'm looking, for the next, I don't know, band or drum corps. And you can barely make out the blue and gold of Beaumont's uniforms. But you're already starting to hear screaming and hooping and hollering from the sidewalk. And as the band gets closer, you start to pick up on this beat. I mean, it's a real funk groove. And then the band gets up on you, you realize that the Beaumont High School marching band is playing Cold Sweat. James Brown. I break out, in a cold sweat, I mean, chorus played R&B and pop all the time these days, but this was the 60s, and you mostly got marches. Or you got show tunes. You did not get James Brown. Hey! And they had nerve enough to rig up an electric guitar for that ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling part. Woo! They were something. And they had kind of a backwards postural march when they came down the street. They had Aunt Gertrude and her girls up and dancing. But that was not all. They had the letter girls, B through T for Beaumont. And every time that band would hit the bridge, boom, ba-da, boom, boom, ba-da-da, them girls would start doing the dirty dog. The dirty dog. The nastiest dance of the day. They was doing it doggy style. Mama Bell's mouth was wide open. Aunt Callie's mumbling to herself as them big girls is moving their stuff in them short skirts and sweaters, like cheerleaders. But these are not cheerleaders. They were the letter girls. They had made the cheerleaders. Some of them was a little big. Okay, all of them was big. And see, you could tell that these girls had felt they had been relegated to the letter squad, no pom-poms, no batons. Well, now they had found their moment in the sun. And every time that band hit the bridge, boom, da da boom, boom, do ba da da. Them girls put down them letters and start doing the dirty dog. Oh my God, they towed it up and turned it out. Just the sight of those big butt girls doing the dirty dog down Newstead Boulevard put the crowd into a frenzy. I tell you, people were all out in the street following the band down the street. And every time they hit that bridge, boom, ba-da, boom, boom, everybody would stop and start doing the dog. Lord have mercy. I ain't never seen nothing like it before or since. Junior told me that when the band went past Holy Rock Baptist, that a deacon went out in the street, took his daughter out of the letter line and back up in the church. She was the letter E, a somewhat disposable vowel in this situation. So the letter line just kept on going. Boom, ba-da, boom, boom, boom. Hey, wait for me. Wait for me. I want to go. Wait. Bring your butt back here. Mama Bell, I want to follow down to the park. Wanda and Gertrude don't mind. I'll stay right with. Baby boy, you better mind. You ain't going to be able to keep up with them. That leg going to give out on you, and then you're going to have your sister mad with you. And that parade sure ain't going to stop for you. Now, you stay here with me, and I get you one of them snow cones. And we'll look out for them Spirit of St. Louis. Now, them is some good-looking, mannerable men. They ain't out there shaking their privates in public. And then my mama says, Mama Bell, listen to you going on about good-looking men. What you watching when they marching by here? Ruth, you better hush. I ain't got to have no foolishness on my mind. And Wayne, take off that t-shirt. Lord Jesus. Boom, ba-da, boom, boom, ba-da. One year later, I am standing at the top of the stairs that lead to the basement of Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church. I have 2 quarters in my hands. I am holding those quarters so tightly, I can feel the ridges of the coin pressed against the palm of my hand. An 8-year-old's determination is a pretty powerful thing. I will not lose this 50 cents. You see, Junior told me that Mr. Nelson will not let you into the basement without your dues paid. Now, Mr. Nelson, he had let me into the basement many times with my mother to watch Junior and the corps rehearse. I remember I would be sitting in the back or standing against the wall in the back of the church watching the corps rehearse. Mr. Nelson calling out left and right. Y'all got to do the glide step now. And I would be there with my imaginary tenor drum, just like my brother Junior. I mean, you know, I could feel the drum resting against my leg. I could see the drum head rise and fall with each beat. Boom, 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 boom. It got so that the other parents there started watching me more than their own kids, you know, laughing, encouraging me on. And then one day, Mr. Nelson told my mother that they needed another banner carrier. Terrence Walker, the usual right side of the banner, was moving to Mississippi. His daddy had found some work down there, and they were going to get off the roll and move down south. Down south. Now, I knew lots of people from down south. People were always going down south. And Gertrude, she hated down south. Mama Bell loved down south. And my mama, when my mother would talk about down south, she would get that look that most grown folks get when they talk about back home. The pools of her eyes deepening. It was as if she were looking right through you. I mean, not past you, but right into you, working hard to make you see what she saw, both the good and the bad. By the time my mother was 13, she was a live-in domestic, cooking, cleaning, and raising babies for white folks in Little Rock, Arkansas. But when she would talk about working for the Holloways, she would get that look that would show much more than she would say. Now, why would I take that woman's garden hat? She knew it was her own boy. I saw him take it and put it on that old dog of his. It was that dog that chewed it up and tried to bury it. That old cracker, he come in my room that night with that hat and a belt. They'd rather blame an innocent child than to own up to their own boy stealing. I've never known a more loving person than my mother. She loved everybody. I'd bring my friends home, black or white, and in a matter of moments, she would have so completely loved them up. I mean, not rush, but in this quiet, warm way. You instantly felt cared for, usually very well fed and cared for. The woman loved everybody. She didn't trust white folks. She told us that the reason she left down south before my father got back from the war was because she saw a black soldier in full U.S. Army issue lynched in Little Rock for getting drunk and hitting the sheriff. It was right downtown. And that young boy, you know, he was so drunk. Well, at first he didn't know what they was doing to him. Lord. So even when my mother would talk about the taste of down south or the smells of down south as a child, you would always see that other knowing. There ain't much of a future for you kids down south. We'll make it up here if the Lord wills. They still killing and lynching down there. President Kennedy having to send our own troops. Now that is a shame before Christ. But at 8 years old, I am ashamed to say that I didn't have those convictions one way or the other about down south. Only that it had taken Terrence Walker away. And because Mr. Nelson said there was only 3 weeks left until the parade, and because he said I was the only other kid in church that could stay in step, I mean, he'd seen it for months now. Yes, Lord. Because Terrence Walker had gone down south, he asked my mama if she would let me join the Majestics. Said I'd have to pay the 50-cent dues just like everybody else and start right away, because I had a lot to learn in a short period of time. My mama asked me if I wanted to be in the parade. Young man, you got your 50 cents. You can't march with us without your dues paid. If you want to be a Majestic, you got to pay 50 cents. Mr. Nelson smells like my father. My father always smelled like Budweiser. And Mr. Nelson, he would be sitting right there at the entrance to the basement, always wearing suspenders, a white shirt, button at the top, no tie, and he would hitch his pants up real high when he sat. Yeah, come on in here, young man. I can see you ready to stretch your stuff. It's a wonder that house of hens let you come up in here. But you here with me now. We gonna see what you got. My father was never around much, but he was home the day that my mother told everybody I was gonna join the Majestics. It was always scary when my father would come home. At 7 or 8 years old, it just seemed like a stomach ache, you know. The butterflies of excitement you had going to the parade, you know, mixed with the fears you had when your mama said, "Wayne, give me a switch." I mean, it was confusing wanting to be around him. I would hide in the rooms he was in. Yeah, under the bed, in a closet, watching, listening. He looked out of place in every room and restless, particularly around Mama Bell. I'm in a ball shape behind the couch next to that tall lamp, listening. "Mama, y'all cuddle Wayne too much. I don't expect Ruth has let that boy's feet touch the ground half his life. Well, she can't carry him in that parade." "Mama Bell, I think John is right. Well, Wayne will be..." "Ruth, I don't need you to agree with me. John, if you were around here more, you know better, boy. That baby tripping and falling, trying to keep up with everybody, that leg ain't strong enough. But you wouldn't know that now, would you?" "Yeah, that's right, Mom. I wouldn't know much about my boy or much about anything as far as you're concerned." "John, Mama Bell didn't mean that. She just said..." "Here we go. The saint gonna make it right for everybody. Mama Bell right, John right, we all right." "Ruth, it ain't like that. The world ain't like that. Maybe your world, but most folks live in a world that's hard, and you need to let that boy in on it. Quit trying to fix it for him and everybody else." "John, I don't know what make you so mean. Always out there punching and scratching at everybody and everything. One of these days, you're going to look around yourself and there ain't going to be nobody to scratch but yourself." Well, y'all go on and think what you want. But they done let the boy in the band, he gonna stay in the band. Hopefully I'm enough of a daddy to say what go and what don't about my boy. "Mama Bell, we'll be fine." Mm-hmm. So there I was, a member of the Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church Majestics. I carried the banner with CJ, one of the deacon's sons. And Mr. Nelson showed me how to keep my eye on CJ, you know, to keep the banner straight. His hand on my shoulder, keeping it straight with the pole. And then he taught me how every time we came to a turn, which was always a right turn in the basement, my job was to march in place while CJ swung the banner around the corner. "Y'all got to do the glide step now." The glide step is a placement of the foot on a stride forward. You bring the leg straight through, taking the foot as far as it'll go, placing the heel, and then rolling through the instep, ball, and toe. I wouldn't always place my left foot correctly. I would trip it up with my right foot, and I would trip myself. "Boy, you got to walk straight. Watch out now. You get in your own way." I have had some spectacular falls in my day. But first of all, my brother and his friends, the Madlock, were particularly brutal. First, my nickname was Crip, which may sound cool and dangerous these days, but in those days, it was short for cripple. Me running up and down the street trying to keep up, jumping off of garages, trying to look inconspicuous all at the same time, resulted in trips and falls that were epic. They would tell me that my feet would go up over my head when I fell, like in cartoons, and they would howl every time. Wah! They particularly liked seeing me in the snow. They stand on the other side of a icy patch and call me over. Hey, Chris! Ah! At the second Saturday rehearsal, Mr. Nelson called me into his office. Wayne, take off your shoes and socks. Go on, take them off. He starts handling my foot. Starts pushing on the ball, moving the toes back and forth. And then he tells me to stand up and walk forward. Now, even at 8 years old, I had learned to hide my walk. Didn't want people to see the limp. That young, and I'd already come up with ways to, look inconspicuous when I would stand up. The idea of someone looking, actually concentrating on my foot, was and still is a pretty hard thing for me to take. Y'all want to see my foot, don't you? That's okay. And on that Saturday morning in that Baptist church with Mr. Nelson, well, it was okay too, because I really wanted to learn the glide step. See, young man, your left leg is short and small. You trying to put all your work on your good leg, lean it all over, throwing that bad leg around like a sack of potatoes. No, you can't do that and be a majestic. We can't have that. See, what you got to do is that you got to bring that leg straight through and keep it next to you. Now put that foot as forward as it goes. Boy, you afraid to use that leg and foot. Bring it on through and then put that foot down easy. See now, your heel, that's the drawed up part. So you're gonna have to put that foot on the ball and stay off them toes. That'll help you with your balance. Build that foot up. Before you know it, if you march far enough, you might straighten out that bad leg altogether. We marched around and around that basement, first to the street beat, and then the roll off, and then the chord would start playing wagon wheel. And every once in a while, I would march in place while CJ swung the banner around the corner. And then I would do the glide step down to the next pillar. I used Mr. Nelson's technique my entire pageantry career, fearlessly moving my foot straight through. And it looked a lot better. I mean, I still limped, but it was a cooler kind of stroll. I have laughed with abandon, and I have sang with abandon, and I have made love with abandon. But I have never run with abandon. Never. I mean, not even as a child, running down that hill as fast as you could, or that last burst of speed before the finish line. Just not something I do. running with abandon and having a bad leg has way too many variables. But, but thanks to Mr. Nelson, I have marched with abandon. We're sitting on the back porch at the house on Taylor. My mom is combing out Wanda's hair. I'm marching up and down the stairs, and Junior is shooting spitballs at me. Wayne, Wayne, get my relax over there, baby. And take them shoes off. You gonna wear them out before you ever get to the parade. Now take them off, baby. I have been wearing white buck shoes all morning. It's part of the uniform. The Majestics wore maroon and white cadet jackets with gold trim, maroon pants with a white stripe down the side, and white bucks. And even though they were brand new, I had polished and buffed them twice today, just like Junior showed me. Puffs of white dust kicking up every time I would hit my feet together, which was often. Now you look good, baby. You look good. But take off them shoes. Now take them off. I want to get you into a hot tub tonight. You know how you cramp up after them rehearsals, and you want to be ready for tomorrow. And Junior, quit spitting on your brother. Mama Wayne ain't slept in 2 days. He ain't doing nothing but carrying that old banner. Mr. Nelson just feels sorry for him because, boy, you better hush. You're just jealous. Mr. Nelson said, Mama, you supposed to be 10, and Wayne just turned 8. You made me wait. Mr. Nelson said he needed Wayne. Knew my baby could stay in step. It's causing a polio. Boy, you better hush. I had polio when I was 4 years old. Polio myelitis. I don't remember a thing. Wanda remembers me going to the hospital a lot. My mom massaging my legs, these hot towels. And she said I wore a brace for a while, but I kept walking out of them. Timing is everything. In 1916, polio killed over 6,000 people in the US alone. Another 27,000 were paralyzed, mostly children. He got feverish. At first, I didn't pay it no mind. You know, he was always in the kitchen with me, you know, instead of out with the others. Always underfoot. And some babies just like to be closer than others. Now, Junior, I couldn't keep him next to me once he started walking, but Wayne, he right there with me. Lord knows I might have babied him a little. It just seemed like he needed it. So, these epidemics, these attacks of polio would occur ever so often, causing national panic. Life magazine showing small children in these massive lung machines, withered limbs. In 1952, tens of thousands were afflicted and no one knew why or how to stop it. Boom, bang, ba, boom, bang, bang, boom, 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 ba, dum, boom, bang, boom. Fear creates clarity. And with a national purpose not seen since the Second World War, America goes to work. The March of Dimes. Brilliant marketing with Hollywood stars, athletes, all marching toward victory over polio. Now he got his shots. I remember we were at the clinic and they gave him so many shots. And Wayne, he was just crying. I remember the doctor saying how healthy a baby Wayne was with such a loud cry. You know, he was a tiny baby. He used to cry so hard, I was afraid he was going to hurt himself. But with that polio, with his leg, he never cried with it. Not once. He'd just be sitting there looking at me, you know, and I'd be putting those hot towels on his legs, you know, just trying to keep that polio down. Just trying to keep it still. He'd just look at me. I was so afraid, you know, afraid it was going to get worse. Boom, 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 boom. So the money pours in, funding the research, funding a certain Dr. Jonas Salk, who developed a vaccine in 1954. Crash, 1 year before I was born. Junior said, Daddy was mad. Ruth called me. I'm up in Chicago. I'm doing that run out of Chicago. And she called me telling me that Wayne got that polio. That don't make no sense. They got the fix. I read it in the newspaper. It don't make no sense. They got the fix. Yeah, they got the fix. That don't mean we got the fix. See, they'll get it to you, but you last in line. That is, unless we fighting in a war now, then you first in line. Show one or two little Negro kids getting shots with everybody else. Put them on the cover of a magazine. It don't mean nothing. Where my boys shot. By 1957, there was this huge campaign promoting and dispensing immunization shots. I mean, a parade of doctors and nurses at schools, at churches, department stores, for God's sakes. I got the disease 1 year later. Timing is everything. I guess that parade had not yet gone down Newstead Boulevard. At the final rehearsal before the parade, everybody was excited. We were loud and unruly, and Mr. Nelson, he was everywhere, making the bugles stay in line, making the bass drums play together, and trying to keep me in step. You see, it seemed that now that I had smoothed out my walk, I could not stay in step. Unfortunately, Mr. Nelson had a unique teaching style. See, he would sneak up behind you, right? And if he caught you out of line or out of step, he would smack you in your behind while quoting an appropriate biblical passage. Lord, give me the strength and guide my hand. Whack! Wayne, I got to have you in step. It was a rough rehearsal for me. And it was an even rougher rehearsal for Mr. Nelson. At the end of rehearsal, he's sitting there in his chair, you know, he is beat. His shirt's all undone. One of the suspenders is unattached. And then I come up to him. Mr. Nelson, what time you think the parade gonna be over? 5:30, 6:30. What do you think, Mr. Nelson? Boy, why on this good green earth is you concerned with after the parade? You need to be thinking about staying in step in the parade. Lord have mercy, Wayne, you're right in front. You, CJ, and that banner is the first thing folks gonna see in the Majestics. I got to have you in step. That's right, Mr. Nelson. In step, doing the glide step. But I gotta be home by 7:30. So what do you think? Will the parade be over by 5:30, 6? Boy, you got an appointment? I gotta call my daddy at the hotel at 7:30 and tell him, so your daddy ain't gonna be at the parade. Mr. Nelson. He's doing the run out of Kansas City this month. Now, I had never really expected my father to be at the parade. It seemed like too much to hope for and too scary to imagine. On the morning that he left for work, though, I remember he opened the closet door to talk to me. Wayne, your mama give you your lunch money this morning? Well, here another $5 for the week. Now don't be spending it on all them sugar sticks. Hold on to it and get yourself something special when you're done marching in that parade. Wayne, get out of the closet. You know, that's a good thing, you marching in that parade, walking all that way. That's good for you. And I want to hear all about it as soon as I get back. Better yet, I'll have your mama let you call me at the hotel when you're done. Wayne, you'll be doing your job while I'm doing mine. That's what men do. But I suspect your job's gonna be a lot more fun than mine. Yeah, everybody clapping for you. And boy, there ain't that many times in this world where you got everybody clapping for you. So don't be looking at the ground when you're marching by. Get your head up. Look at them all. Your mama and them, all them good, righteous folks from Pleasant Green, all your friends. Look at them all when you're marching down that street. Wayne, there ain't that many parades in the real world. So you got to do the best you can for you and for me. Mr. Nelson, my daddy said I got to do my job while he does his. And then I get to call him at the hotel at 7:30. That what your daddy said? Well, I suspect we're going to be able to get you home by 7:30. But until then, I need your mind on that bass drum beat. Lord have mercy, Wayne, you're right in front. I got to have you in step. It's the highway to heaven, not just walkers there, but the pure in heart. It's the highway to heaven, walking up the King's highway. No, I do not know how them shoes get so far up in there. I put them by the door on Sunday, and 7 days later, they done marched to the back of the closet. Wayne, look back there and get me my church pumps. I can just about finish hemming up your uniform pants, but you leave them hanging. I want to rub that leg down before you go. And then you're going to sit your butt down for a spell. It's a long march you got today, baby. But Mr. Nelson said, I got to keep marching because if I march far enough, I could. There ain't no telling what your Mr. Nelson is liable to say. And he called himself a deacon. Mama Bell is pulling her choir robe out of the closet. It's wrapped in plastic. She's moving back and forth, slow and steady, like the choir march. Wait, you gonna be marching into church this morning with me and your mama. Oh, Deacon Nelson, he sure loved strutting into church with y'all on May Day. Do him some good to come to service a few more times a year. But y'all sure look good. Sitting there in your uniforms and your hats in your heads, sitting proud and strong. I get so full, just looking at you. Them I cheer. Thank you, Jesus. Sunday mornings at Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church, after Reverend Pruitt has taken his place behind the pulpit, Mr. Nelson would march the Majestics into the balcony, 2 by 2, to a space particularly set and reserved for us. We would be sitting there with our shakos in our right arm, and on that Sunday morning, all eyes in the church would be on us. And at some point in his sermon, Reverend Pruitt would acknowledge us. You see, God, he don't want you just righteous on Sundays. No, you got to be righteous on Friday nights too. Thank you, Jesus. Get your mind right 7 days a week. Be a drum major for Jesus. You got to be in step 365 days a year. Yeah. Can I get something from the deacons on that? Amen. Get in step with Jesus. Yeah. Left, right, left, up to the pearly gate. You in step with Jesus. Just like our young children up in the balcony. They in step with Jesus. And Deacon Nelson got him looking good and marching for salvation. Now, all of y'all know what day it is. It's May Day. And all of y'all need to get out there this afternoon and watch our young people strut their stuff for Jesus. Going on down to Annie Malone's. Praise God. Aunt Gertrude is pulling her Bonneville up to the curb, and she's dropping Junior and I off at the Sears and Roebuck's parking lot. I'm looking through the back window of the car, looking at the scene in the parking lot. There is music everywhere, blaring out of speakers, trumpets warming up, drill teams practicing. Somebody's loading a cannon. Mama Bell, she takes out this handkerchief with the doily edges. You know the kind, every grandmother has it, right? And she starts sticking it up under my cadet jacket. Mama Bell, I don't need that. That's for girls. Boy, you don't know what you need. And as far as this being for girls, it was with your granddaddy every day he was over there in Europe. Now you take this and you put it under your jacket. It's gonna get hot out there, baby. Her Gertrude laughed and she goes, Mama Bell, you acting like you sending them off to fight the Germans. It's a parade. Mr. Wayne gonna be fine. And then there's my mom. She's licking her fingers, looking for ashy skin. And then she whispers, now wait. If your leg starts to bother you, you let Mr. Nelson know, and he'll let you ride in one of those cars if you have to. My mama did not whisper good enough. Junior leans over, knocks my Shako crooked and says, yeah, they'll let you ride in one of them funeral wagons with the dead people. Mama, I don't want to ride in one of those things. Is there dead people in there? Boy, you something. You think they got dead people in those things in the parade? My mom pats my leg and says, you'll be fine. But if your leg starts to bother you now, you just let Mr. Nelson know. Ruth, that boy can't expect nothing out of Mr. Nelson. If you're having troubles, boy, you let the Lord in on it. Yes, Lord, because when all is said and done, it's the Lord Jesus Christ who win the day. Thank you, Jesus. Mama Bell's still feeling it from Reverend Pruitt's sermon this morning. All things are possible. You just pray on it, and it'll lift you, baby boy. You'll rise above it. You hear me, baby boy? Pray on it. I'm just trying to get out of the car. Mama Bell's got her hand under my jacket. Aunt Gertrude is straightening my shako, and my mom is wiping spit on me. Oh, that's right, Mama Bell. Stay in step, do the glide step, tear it up, pray on it. Don't get put in the funeral wagon. Boom! The parade starts. Come on, let's go, you watermelon head ass Negro. CJ, my banner carrier, had the foulest mouth you've ever heard from a 10-year-old, a deacon's son. And he was not happy about carrying the banner with a baby. You better keep up, you diaper crapping baby ass baby. One other thing you should know. The first turn in the parade out of the parking lot, to the left. CJ swings me around the corner and I'm just barely keeping up. And it seems like CJ's taking really large steps now and I can hardly keep up. And the street seems really large and bright compared to the basement church at Pleasant Green. And so at first, I'm just trying to keep up. Boom, 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 boom. After a couple of blocks, I'm starting to get the hang of it. And maybe the shoelace on my right foot, it feels a little loose, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Mr. Nelson always walked alongside the corps during parades. He would be wearing a maroon jacket, black pants, gold tie, and white gloves. He'd be marching as well and keeping an eye on us the whole time. Mama Bell said he'd be prancing like a peacock in heat out there. Well, I'm looking for Mr. Nelson, trying to get his attention when I walk out of my shoe. CJ is not stopping. CJ, my shoe. But CJ just keeps on marching with even bigger steps. You better keep up, asshole. I'm gonna kick your baby black ass as soon as we get to Tandy Park. But CJ, my shoe. So now here I am, limping worse than usual, with one shoe on and one sock. The sock on my right foot, which is actually my brother's sock, Junior's sock, is starting to flap at the toe. And I can't even see my shoe back there. And we're about to march right past Pleasant Green. The Reverend Pruitt's gonna see me strutting down the street with one shoe and a flapping sock. Young man, you gonna need this shoe if you expect to make it to Tandy Park. The Majestics don't leave nothing in the street. Shoes are banner carriers. Now you give me that banner and put this shoe on. We about to pass Reverend Pruitt and the deacons. And CJ, slow your nappy head down. I start putting that shoe on as fast as I can. But the rest of the corps is still marching past me, and eventually Junior and the rest of the drummers come marching by. Wayne, get up, get up. I put that shoe on as quick and as fast as I can. and I tie it as tight as I can, and I run to the front of the corps, and I grab the banner from Mr. Nelson just as we get to the block our church is on. The stairways up to the doors at Pleasant Green are large. They're wide at the base, and they go up 20, 30 steps, full of what seemed like the entire congregation. Ladies in their hats and white gloves, the choir members still in their robe, deacons in three-piece suits. And at the very top of the stairs, framed by these wooden doors and a carving of the crucifixion, Reverend Pruitt. Dark, sweaty face, no neck to speak of, big gold tooth smile. Now, young man, you straighten that hat and you stand tall and you show Reverend Pruitt what the glide step is all about. And I do. The parade narrows as it nears Newstead Boulevard. It slows down and steps are shorter and the shoe was on. I'm doing good. Okay, maybe I had tied the laces a little too tight. CJ, I need to fix my shoe, okay? CJ is ignoring me. He pulls me up and I have to hop to keep up with him. And on every hop, I can feel the back of that white buck shoe cutting into my heel. I'm trying to move my foot up in the shoe. If I can just keep it from rubbing, I'll be all right. It is at this moment in the play where me, the adult, wishes to tell me, the child, that there will be many, many obstacles and challenges in his life. They're trying to interrupt the march forward. Disruptions both found and self-inflicted, and they rarely come from expected places. I want to tell him, baby boy, it is not the atrophied limb of polio that threatens your first parade, but an ill-fitting shoe too tightly tied. We come to the next turn, to the left again. CJ swings me around the corner as fast as I can, and that white buck shoe is scraping the back of my heel on every step. But now we are on Newstead Boulevard, and the moment I have been waiting for all of my young life is about to happen. There are people 4 and 5 deep on the sidewalk. The large oak trees have a summer fullness, their branches creating almost a cathedral-like effect. Yeah, like a church. Walls painted with loudly colored clothes and black faces all the way down Newstead Boulevard. It's like being in a living tunnel. People on either side yelling out, "Hey, go, baby, yeah, hey, look how young he is. Here come the church choir, y'all, hey!" And the drummers are playing the street beat. And people are clapping along. And we're just a few blocks from Aunt Gertrude's, where I know my mom and Mama Bell will be, and my heart is just a pumping. I hear the roll off. And then the chorus starts to play Wagon Wheels. And I straighten up and I do the glide step down Newstead Boulevard. And every step, that shoe is cutting into my Achilles heel. My right foot is throbbing with pain, and I can feel that it's moist around the back, but I don't look. Mm-mm. That's what my mama said that time my arm was bleeding so bad, and she said, Wayne, just look the other way, and it won't hurt so bad. We're getting closer to Aunt Gertrude's. So I put my head up as fast, as high as I can, and I open my eyes as wide as I can so that the tears won't pull up. And then I start a very exaggerated glide step as the Majestics pass my mother and Mama Bell. She would go, boom, boom. And Gertrude and her girls are calling my name, and I catch a glimpse of my mom, and she is just a smiling, but I try not to smile back, try to look serious. But it's my mom. And I can see Mama Bell, she's clapping, and she's telling me, you keep your head up, baby boy. You look good now. You look good. She is smiling and poking Aunt Callie and pointing at me. And I march past all of them with barely a limp. Hey, Crib. Hey, Crib. Hey, little brother. Look over here, man. Look. Say, Crip, you gonna be okay? You okay, little brother? We're passing my alley, and the Matlock boys are up on the fence yelling at me. I can hardly hear them. My foot hurts so bad. And I'm so embarrassed that they see me looking like this. I'm praying I just get by them, just get a little further. We're coming to Kennerly Street, this long street that goes down to the orphanage, to the end of the parade. Now it's a right turn finally on Kennerly, and I finally get to march in place while CJ turns around the corner. I try moving my foot up in the shoe, but it does not help. It is only pain. And when I look up, it looks like that street goes on forever. And I start to cry. I start looking for Mr. Nelson, funeral wagon or not. And the whole time I'm thinking, how can I talk to my daddy at the hotel tonight? Mama, she'll keep treating me like a baby. Aunt Gertrude won't call me Mr. Wayne. And Mama Bell will know I didn't pray good enough for Jesus to hear me. I'm looking around for Mr. Nelson, and the people on the sidewalk are just these distorted prisms through the tears in my eyes. The banner's getting heavier, and I start falling behind, and CJ gives me a look. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm looking around, looking for Mr. Nelson. I don't see him anywhere. But then for a moment, I thought I saw Mama Bell. That can't be him. We had passed them blocks ago. But it is. It's Mama Bell. I can see her just behind the rows of people. She's walking right along with the coal. It's that big old bag. There's my mama and Gertrude and them. They have been watching me this whole time. I cannot look at them. I try to look away, but Mama Bell, she makes me look. From the back of that the sidewalk, she looks me right in my eye. Baby boy, rise up now. Get up. Get up. And then Mama Bell, she stands up. She is so tall. I can see her gray hair hovering above the other people on the sidewalk. And my mama and Aunt Gertrude and them are trying to keep up because Mama Bell is moving 120 beats per measure, right with that bass drum on 1 and 3. So I straighten up. I rise up and I move with her. Me and Mama Bell, we rise up together and we march down to Annie Malone. If Newstead Boulevard was a forest of people, Kennerly Street is a wall. I mean, there are people everywhere, on the sidewalks, on the retaining wall of Tandy Park. The noise was deafening, and everybody in the Corps could see the end of the parade. The drums were thunderous, and the bugles had a power I had never heard. Yeah, yeah, and I cannot feel my feet. I can't feel the ground. I feel light and strong, and there are so many people. I can't see Mama Bell now, but I know she's there. So my head is up, and I feel 5 feet tall as the Majestics march past the orphanage. Glide step all the way. Wait, come here, baby boy. Let me put some liniment on that foot and leg. I want to bandage that heel. Mama Bell, what are you doing with all that stuff in your bag? Lord, have mercy. Girl, don't be asking about the bag. I don't think we want to know what's in the bag. Mama Bell, I don't want to get none of that stuff on my uniform. Boy, you better hush. Your mama brought you into this world. Don't make me have to take you out. Get over here. Sitting in the cool grass in Tandy Park with my mama and Mama Bell and Aunt Gertrude and her girls, Aunt Callie. All of us sitting with our shoes off and our feet free in the spring breeze. My feet are a little bandaged and throbbing. We're watching the rest of the parade as it comes into Tandy Park. You know, the May Day parade does not go down Newstead Boulevard anymore. It's downtown now on the big boulevards, and it's sponsored by McDonald's. Sumner High School no longer has a marching band. And the parade is no longer a sea of loudly colored clothes and black faces. It seems to have hit corporate status now, and there are as many white faces as black. I guess that's a good thing. But when I look back on that Sunday in May, looking down Newstead Boulevard, and it is just this ribbon of color and sound and soul. I mean, not just a parade, but a community on parade. And me at 8 years old, feeling as excited and as strong and as loved as I will ever be. And you see, I kept marching in parades, kept listening for them drums, listening for that street beat. And I wanted to be in better and better drum and bugle corps. I even left home, traveled all over, competed at the highest level, won world championships. I even started teaching kids all over the United States and Canada how to march. Y'all got to do the glide step, huh? But with all of my experiences, even the process of writing this play, I've come to realize that all I have ever really wanted, all I've ever really wanted was to come back to this moment, to relive that moment in Tandy Park, sitting on the triumphant side of a struggle, all of life in front of me, feeling light and strong. I would be turning 9 soon, and all things are possible. Lord have mercy. Here comes the spirit of St. Louis.